Street block party. Hear from party goers and officials on how they're keeping the event safe. Also, a Milwaukee County Circuit judge was arrested Friday and charged in federal court for allegedly obstructing immigration agents. Plus, we're following the 43rd annual Crazy Legs Classic. Check out the sights from today's race. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Let's get a look at your first one forecast with the meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, pretty beautiful day, but it could look a lot different pretty soon. What do you have for us?
That's right. We are looking at severe weather for Monday after a gorgeous Saturday. Hopefully folks were able to get out and enjoy it. Sunday is going to be nice as well. Maybe a little bit more cloud cover. But all of the meteorologists here at News 3 Now, our attention is Monday evening into early Tuesday. That's when we have the threat for severe weather. We have a moderate risk for severe weather, which we typically don't see here across Wisconsin. An enhanced risk for everybody there in the orange, the moderate in the red. If I zoom this out, that pink there is a 45% hatched risk with those black lines, meaning that there is strong confidence that large hail, strong wind gusts, as well as isolated tornadoes, some of which may be intense to strong, may be possible Monday evening into Tuesday. We'll dive more into the forecast here in just a moment. Tonight it is going to be quiet, and as I said, Sunday for the most part, other than maybe a stray shower, we should be quiet as well and warmer. We're going to, as I mentioned, talk more about Monday's severe weather threat and break it all down in just a few minutes.
All right, sounds good. Blaze, we'll see you in just a bit. And you can track the forecast yourself on the First One Weather app. It has hourly planners, road conditions, and even radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather. The 56th annual Mifflin Street Block Party kicked off earlier today. Thousands gathered for the party that has gained national attention. This year, the city of Madison enacted an amnesty act just days before the party. Our Tanisha Shaw is reporting on how the program is expected to help students.
I feel like it's pretty wild, but it's not as wild as I thought.
Every year on the last Saturday of April, college students fill up Mifflin Street for the iconic block party. And every year, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Campus Police, and the Madison Police Department have the same goal.
Right now, we're really focusing on keeping everyone safe. It's enjoying themselves right now on a beautiful Saturday.
Just days ago, the Madison Police Department adopted an amnesty policy.
Would shield someone from being ticketed for underage drinking if they call for help during a medical emergency.
The program is almost identical to the amnesty program that UW-Madison enforces on their campus.
A lot of these aren't just alcohol issues. They're issues with academics, issues with peer groups, and depression type issues, and deeper issues than just somebody went to Mifflin and got too drunk.
Love the idea. I feel like it's so safe. Like, I know so many people that have just been in bad situations where that totally could have helped them, and I honestly had no idea it was even a thing until you told us.
The students I talked to said they didn't know about the amnesty program for UW, let alone the city of Madison, but they agreed that this program is a life changer for underage drinkers.
It's a really important thing because, safety is more important than consequences, I feel.
Honestly, I really support it a lot, mostly because if people need help and if there's an issue like, someone's drunk, someone's intoxicated, someone's really messed up, we'd be able to help them a lot without getting worried.
These students, they're going to find alcohol anyways, and these people are going to get drunk and intoxicated, and they're going to overdrink sometimes, and it's going to be important to keep these students safe.
Reporting in Madison, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanisha, thank you. At last check, Madison police issued a handful of citations and physical arrests and no serious damages. It's the last Saturday of April, meaning the annual Crazy Legs Classic is underway. The first race took place back in 1982, and that race in particular brought in over 1,500 runners. And over the past 43 years, over 350,000 runners have competed in the Crazy Legs Classic. Camp Walbeek was pretty busy this weekend. Easter Seals, Wisconsin hosted their Family Veterans Weekend. The event gives veterans with disabilities along with their family members a weekend of fun and activities to enjoy.
We are here at our Family Veterans Camp. We host a Family Veterans Camp twice a year for veterans and their families to come here at respite camp and enjoy nature, different programming. We have a bunch of our AmeriCorps members here that just kind of help out throughout the weekend.
If you would like to learn more about the program, just head on over to easterseals.com. One house is damaged in a Saturday morning fire in Fort Atkinson. Just before 11 a.m., Fort Atkinson Fire responded to the 300 block of Lincoln Avenue. Fire crews responded within minutes and the fire was brought under control quickly. Limiting damage to the detached garage and some exterior heat damage was brought to other neighbors' homes. No residents, fortunately, were injured, and the tenants of the impacted property were not home at the time. The fire is not believed to be suspicious in nature. The FBI arrested a county judge in Wisconsin on Friday after she allegedly prevented ICE agents from picking up a man who was in the country without documentation. The charges stem from an encounter last week when the agents showed up to the courthouse with an administrative warrant. Federal authorities have charged the Milwaukee County Circuit Judge with obstruction and concealing the individual from arrest. The DOJ issued a press release saying, according to the affidavit, Judge Duggan's actions were directly resulted in the man temporarily avoiding federal custody. Sherelle Hubbard has more on the implications of the judge's arrest and what that can mean on how the public is reacting.
Scores of protesters gathered outside of the federal courthouse in Milwaukee in response to Judge Hannah Dugan's arrest Friday afternoon. She's accused of helping an undocumented man avoid being apprehended by federal officials. Judge Dugan was released and swiftly left court after her initial appearance today.
This is a person who stood up for what was right, for those men not to be taken out of a courthouse, which should be a place people can go for services. And instead, she has been hit with felony charges. This is incorrect. This is immoral.
On April 18th, ICE agents showed up to court with an administrative warrant and were told to wait until court concluded, according to the complaint against Judge Dugan. It alleges she escorted the man and his attorney out through a jury door, which leads to a non-public area of the courthouse. The suspect fled. Some Trump administration officials are speaking publicly about the incident.
I think some of these judges think they are beyond and above the law, and they are not.
But Milwaukee officials are questioning their actions.
Trump's FBI is more concerned about weaponizing federal law enforcement, punishing people without their due process, and intimidating anyone who opposes these policies.
Judge Dugan is contesting the charges. Supporters as far away as Minnesota joined her in protest.
Donald Trump is not following the rule of law, and that's what we need. We need the rule of law. He's not a dictator. He's the president.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
A statement released on behalf of Judge Dugan says she will defend herself vigorously and that she looks forward to being exonerated. According to the DOJ, obstruction of the proceedings before a department or agency of the U.S. carries a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison, and concealing a person to prevent an arrest carries a maximum penalty of 1 year in prison. The man at the center of all this controversy is Eduardo Flores Ruiz, who is from Mexico. After fleeing, he was found and arrested. According to his court record, Flores Ruiz has not yet entered a plea deal to the federal charges related to his efforts to evade arrest and is still being detained. Governor Evers releasing a statement in response to the incident saying the Trump administration repeatedly uses dangerous rhetoric to attack and to attempt to undermine our judiciary. Meanwhile, Assembly Republicans are pledging swift action against Judge Dugan if charges are confirmed. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 6, the eyes of the world are fixed on Rome as we remember Pope Francis. Plus, the Justice Department will again allow federal investigators to pursue communications from media outlets in the course of government leak investigations, rescinding a Biden-era policy. More on that after the break. Thank you for staying with us. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is revoking a Biden-era protection for journalists when it comes to government leak investigations. That's according to an internal Justice Department memo from Bondi. The move will again allow federal investigators to go after media outlet communications as part of leak investigations. Bondi wrote the Justice Department will not tolerate unauthorized disclosures that undermine President Trump's policies, victimize government agencies, and cause harm to the American people. Bondi's predecessor, Merrick Garland, implemented the policy after several media outlets had some of their communications secretly pursued at the end of Trump's first term. The policy at the time was seen as a win for free press protection. Pope Francis was often referred to as the People's Pope, and today scores of people turned out in St. Peter's Square and the streets of Rome to say farewell to him. CBS News' Tony Aiello was there and brings us the latest from the Vatican.
In a packed St. Peter's Square, Pope Francis was eulogized as, quote, a pope among the people with an open heart towards everyone. The Vatican says 250,000 attended the funeral mass. Florida native Kelsey Gussie, an American journalist living and working in Rome, was tapped to give the first reading at the funeral mass.
This is such a huge honor to be a part of this momentous occasion. And so, honestly, also for me, it's a big way to say thank you to Pope Francis.
Following the funeral, tens of thousands lined the route to see the Pope's coffin carried through the streets of Rome to St. Mary Major, where Francis chose to be buried. It's a church he came to pray in often. Onlookers were visibly moved.
A momentous occasion, absolutely fabulous that I'm here, and one I can remember forever and ever, and I have goosebumps.
You're crying a little bit.
Yes, I'm crying. This triggers like a lot of emotion.
What was your feeling when the coffin of the Pope came by?
Thankfulness and a big blessing for the world.
Among the world's estimated 1.4 billion Catholics, many gathered at all hours to watch the funeral broadcast live, including in the Pope's native Argentina, which Francis never visited as Pope, but he's still revered there. Just before the funeral began, Ukrainian President Zelensky and President Trump met privately within St. Peter's to discuss Russia's war with Ukraine. With Pope Francis's funeral now over, a period of mourning has begun. The conclave in which eligible cardinals will gather in the Sistine Chapel to elect the next pope is expected to begin as early as May 6th. Tony Aiello, CBS News, Rome.
Pope Francis, at his request, became the first pope in more than 100 years to be buried outside of Vatican City. He also requested a very simple tomb. His tomb bears just one word on it: Franciscus. Coming up after the break, Blaze Keller returns with a complete look of your First Warn forecast. First Warn forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, we have an alert day on the way, huh?
That's right. We're continuing to track that severe weather threat Monday evening, overnight into early Tuesday. Confidence continues to grow that especially western Wisconsin is going to be underneath the greatest threat for severe weather. We find a moderate risk for severe weather, a 4 out of the 5 categories outlined by the Storm Prediction Center for Monday evening going into early Tuesday. So anybody here in the red, you're underneath the highest threat as of now for severe weather, and then we find that enhanced risk for the rest of the News 3 Now coverage area. We may even see the even rare high risk issued as we go into the next couple of days, so stay with News 3 Now. We will keep you updated not only throughout the day tomorrow, but of course throughout Monday as we get ready for this severe weather threat. This is what will likely be the setup. A large low pressure system is going to be moving through western parts of Minnesota. There may be some morning showers and thunderstorms and even cloud cover here across parts of Wisconsin, but southerly winds are going to get the atmosphere ready for that potential of severe weather. Here's that cold front cutting through parts of Minnesota and Iowa at about 8:30 at night. It doesn't look like much, and we'll take it in closer to home, but this is I would say, the discrete thunderstorms, possibly tornadic supercells that will develop out ahead of that cold front. Then we watch as the line develops, that squall line, as it makes its way through parts of Wisconsin overnight into early Tuesday. The discrete thunderstorm threat is where I likely will see, or will likely see, the greatest tornado threat as well, because discrete thunderstorms, especially discrete supercell thunderstorms, they want to be by themselves. They like all of that energy. They like all of the moisture to be by themselves and to only use for themselves. So this is going to be when the greatest, I would say, tornado threat is going to be. And the Storm Prediction Center has used the terminology of strong to even intense tornadoes as we go into your Monday evening. And then the squall line forms. This is when we'll switch over to more of a strong wind and hail threat, but we can't rule out embedded rotation within this line. So we could even see a tornado threat as we go into early Tuesday morning as that line pushes through parts of Wisconsin. Well, we're looking at the supercell thunderstorm threat. So we're looking at, is the environment good for supercell chances to develop? And we find a high risk just over the Mississippi River in parts of Iowa and Minnesota, where I think those supercells will develop, and then they'll push north and eastward, crossing the Mississippi into western Wisconsin. And they are going to be able to use, if they develop, a lot of energy. We're basically into the white on the very high end of the futuristic atmospheric energy outlook. So this is looking at all the atmospheric energy available for these storms to use, and it's very high. So we have a lot of the ingredients necessary for this severe weather event. I will say it is going to be happening later in the evening. That could be good to dampen, not completely get rid of, but dampen our severe weather threat, because this is going to be happening later in the evening and overnight. But still, don't put your guard down. Stay with News 3 Now. We will keep you updated. I'm checking with the National Weather Service because unfortunately, NOAA radios may be going through an upgrade at this time. They may hold it off because of this. But I just want to give you guys that heads up. Obviously, stay with News 3 Now, the First Warn Weather app. We will keep you updated. And then we just see some light rain chances Wednesday and Thursday following that severe weather threat. We don't get moderate risk too often, Jalen and folks at home. So the last time we did was back in 2024, but we typically average about 1 every 2 years.
All right. Well, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. Like you said, get the app and we'll keep you updated. Still ahead, the third day of the NFL draft did not disappoint. How one Packers pick had the perfect day with his parents. Next in sports.
Some things are just meant to be. Baron Sorrell thought about heading home when he wasn't drafted in the second or third rounds of the NFL draft yesterday, but instead decided to stick it out in Green Bay, the only prospect there in person today. The edge rusher was selected by the Packers of all teams with their fourth-round pick and immediately introduced his passion to his new fan base. Grateful for the opportunity, but more than anything, for his parents that were there with him.
I'm thankful to have them as my parents. I'm thankful that they're here. And I could go on and on about them, but let's just say they sacrificed a lot for me to be here. My dad, since day one, I've been playing football since I could remember.
What an incredible moment. And in the fifth round, the Packers went defense again, taking Colin Oliver, a linebacker out of Oklahoma State. The speedster played just 2 games last season for the Cowboys due to injury. And it wouldn't be a Brian Gutekunst draft without selecting a defender out of Georgia, which is what he got in the 6th round with Warren Brinson. The 6'5", 315-pound defensive tackle is an athletic specimen. In the 7th, they'd take Micah Robinson, a cornerback out of Tulane, and capped their draft by selecting John Williams, an offensive tackle out of Cincinnati. In every NFL draft since 1990, at least one Badger has been selected in the first 5 rounds. But today, that changed. Wisconsin fans would have to wait till the 7th round to hear the first Badger called when the Atlanta Falcons selected Jack Nelson with the 218th overall pick. The Stoughton native was a mainstay at left tackle for the Badgers, appearing in 49 games over the last 5 seasons. And not long after, another Badger came off the board when the Colts selected Hunter Wooler with the 16th pick of the 7th round. The safety is as solid as they come and joins Tanner Bortolini and Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis. But earlier in the day, some former Badgers did hear their names called earlier. With the first pick of the 4th round, the Tennessee Titans selected wide receiver Chimere Dike, while the Texans took quarterback Graham Mertz, we all remember him, in the 6th round. The Brewers in an NL Central battle trying to clip the Cardinals, but trailed 5-3 in the top of the 9th. That is until Jackson Chourio chose violence. A no-doubt home run ties things at 5. The second-year stud went 4 for 5 on the day. But in the bottom of the frame, the Cardinals struck back with the death blow. Nolan Arenado walks off the crew as they lose their 4th straight. Certainly an incredibly exciting day and an exciting weekend in Green Bay that has finally been capped so much to say about it. We'll save that for later.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to more of your breakdown later. Quick check before we head on out, Blaze.
And we are continuing to see that moderate threat for severe weather across mainly western parts of Wisconsin. Strong wind gusts, large hail, as well as isolated tornadoes. Some that may be strong to intense are going to be possible Monday. I think a lot of that is going to develop out in Iowa and Minnesota and then push into western Wisconsin Monday evening. So stay with News 3 now. We'll keep you updated. Sunday is going to be quiet, maybe a stray shower or two, partly sunny conditions, alert day conditions Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll maybe see some non-severe weather Wednesday and Thursday with some rain showers before the 70s return by the end of that following weekend, which of course will be into May.
All right, real quick, but before we head on out, it's someone's birthday, so happy birthday, Blaze!
Hey!
We'll see you back here at 10 o'clock.